It's the truth centers, okay? We all just tell the truth. Are you God? Raise your hand if you God. All the gods, raise their hands up right now. Okay, I just want to make sure that it's like-minded. So we are in the month of renunciation. This is also Hip Hop History Month. So when we're talking about renunciation, you know, my lesson today is releasing the old and be renewed. Release the old and be renewed. So when you think about hip-hop culture, when you think about 41 years ago, Africa Bambaataa, the Universal Zulu Nation began. When you talk about releasing, when you look at the situation that was happening in the United States of America in the late 60s and early 70s, there was a lot of negative thoughts, particularly when it comes to young black and brown people. Kind of sounds like 2014, huh? You know, some of those same things going on. And yet what we have to do is the same thing that was done right now. We have to, first of all, remember who we are. You know, it says in ancient scripture that all of us are gods. All of us are gods and sons and daughters of the Most High God. Word? So if that's true, then the first thing that we have to be able to do is be just like God and have our thoughts to manifest what we wanted to manifest. Have our ideas where we want them to manifest. So when we talk about our gift of renunciation, as we continue toward our path of higher spiritual development, it's important for us to let go of all the negative thoughts, words, and actions. And when you take a look at your life and you're really honest with yourself, and you don't even have to say it out loud, if there's some things that you are not in alignment with, you kind of feel it in your whole body. Word? You kind of feel it. It's like something just does not feel right. Word? And when those things happen, it's because you have not allowed yourself to stay in that consciousness. That means that you have some things that you need to let go. Some things that you're holding on, some thoughts, some ideas, some past hurts, some past disappointments, something that you may have thought that you should have had already and it hasn't manifested itself yet, so you'll be upset about that. Word? But when you do that, what you end up doing is blocking the blessings that you're waiting for. You have to release those things. And our gift of renunciation gives us the ability to do that. When you talk about the ability to let go of thoughts, right now in the United States of America, there's a lot of so-called negative energy out there because of the verdict in Ferguson. And yet we know the verdict in Ferguson is just symbolic at this point of what's been happening over and over and over again. They say every 28 hours someone is murdered by the police or some type of law enforcement officer, and yet we cannot allow ourselves to get caught up in the emotion, to get caught up in the anger, to get caught up in the rage. Because when you do that, they say you fight fire with fire. No, you fight fire with water. You don't fight fire with fire, you fight fire with water. So if there's a lot of negative energy, what we want to be able to do is send for positive energy. We want to release those thoughts. And mind you, when we talk about releasing the thoughts, we're talking about forgiveness. I know that's a tough word for some people to hear right now, forgiveness. But yet we know that when we forgive, we're not forgiving the situation or even the person. We're forgiving ourselves. Because we know that we are truly one. So even when people are acting out of order, it's not like they somehow got separated from us. We're still one, word? And yet, if we want to see a different manifestation, we have to release those thoughts that are holding us captive, that are holding us in a situation where we're not looking at ourselves a certain kind of way. You know, the sad part about the Mike Brown situation is that when talking with young people, a lot of them were not surprised about that. A lot of them was like, well, you know how they do. That's how it is. And I'm like, no, that's not the way it is. We have to, first of all, teach all people, not just young black people, but Americans in general, that any time a person is unarmed, period, that person should be indicted. Word? Word? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And yet to hold on to those thoughts, I don't know about you all, but, you know, I have 3 sons and 4 grandsons. So when I think about them being raised in this society and I think about, well, what can I do now to help them? Well, one of the things that I know I can do is teach them about who they are. Teach them their own power. Teach them that even when you come in situations where someone is acting negative towards you, you can turn that around and you don't have to act that same way, particularly when it seems like the only way they deal with young black men is through lethal force now. There's no warning shots anymore. There's none of that type of stop, we're coming to get you, so we have to begin to release those negative energies that we have in us. And sometimes that's way easier said than done, or should I say most times that's way easier said than done. But as you release those negative thoughts, those negative ideas, those negative actions, it may be something as simple as you walking more, you taking, with our gift of renunciation, it allows us to eliminate and release things as well. I don't know about you all, but I'm taking this month as a time to release a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff that I need to leave in 2014 as we prepare for December, which is the spiritual faculty of life. As we prepare for our true life, then we need to let go. Minister Jehudi often talks about two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. It's against the laws of physics. So we're either going to eliminate those things that are blocking us from getting to our highest good and greatest joy, or we're going to allow ourselves to dwell in those situations. And yet, as you eliminate those negative beliefs, feelings, and memories from your hurt past, it's vital for you to find something to replace that with. Deep inside of you, there are ideas, there are thoughts that God has given to you, and only to you. There may have been someone that told you that you can't do something, or you should have done that this time, and now it's too late to do that. Well, you're kind of too old to do that now. No, if God has ever given you an idea, and God gives all of us ideas, it's already done. Let me say that again. It's already done. All you are looking to do is to have the courage to bring it into manifestation. Because once you have a divine idea, it exists somewhere already in your higher consciousness, what we call heaven. So when Jesus is talking about in heaven as it is, in earth as it is in heaven, as it is, meaning it's already done in heaven. But as we release those other things, then we give room to add those things on. So what you have to look at is yourself as a vacuum. And sometimes you have a vacuum, you may have one of the top of the line Kirby vacuum cleaners, and it's working and everything is good. You clean up everything. But then at some point, it's not picking up all the things that it used to. It seems kind of clogged. And then you look and you see the bag is full with all the other stuff you picked up. Well, what do you have to do? You have to empty that bag out. It's the same thing with us. Too many times, particularly in this 24-hour social media cycle, too many times we're being fed negative energy, negative thoughts, negative pictures. Negative. And even if we're consciously trying to avoid them, in our subconscious, some of that gets in there anyway. Word? So we have to check ourselves. You ever find yourself just feeling aggravated for no reason? Nothing really happened, but just kind of aggravated. Or when you find yourself being like that, it's probably because of all the different stimuli that you've had throughout your week, throughout your month, throughout your year, depending on the last time you used your gift of renunciation to clean that garbage out. You have to consciously clean it out. So when you clean it out, what you allow yourself to do is to simply be still. Simply be consciously aware that because wherever you are, God is. It's simply a matter of you shifting. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything, particularly outside of yourself. What's beautiful about us being in the image and likeness of God, it's all about our own unfolding. It's all about us releasing the old us to become the new us. Now, who you are is who you are at the core of you. But all of us have allowed ourselves to be diminished sometimes. I don't know anyone that would say that they are not in the image and likeness of God. And yet, if you watch our actions, we don't always act like that. We don't always act like that, and sometimes we're just in denial of our own selves. Like, for example, the injury that I have, I was telling Jehudi, I should have been healed from this injury, but I've been in such denial about even being injured. But I didn't even know how to heal properly because I've never been injured since I was a teenager. But I had to release that, Jehudi, and say, listen, I'm about tired of this limping around stuff, and I'm letting that go so I can get back to where I'm supposed to be. So I'm visualizing myself back on the court, Bobby. I'm visualizing myself getting those moves and visualizing, using my gift of imagination. And see, we have all these wonderful gifts that we can use. And all of them work in alignment with each other. And yet, one of the toughest things for us to do is when we see something outside of ourselves to not judge those things. And all of us, well, at least most of us may have co-workers or situations of people that it's just something about them that I just don't like. So anytime those people come around, there's a kind of a tension. There's kind of an uneasiness, like, oh, I'll be glad when they leave. But what we have to do is be able to say, Namaskar. Namaskar. I behold the Christ in you because I don't like nothing else about you. So I'm beholding the Christ in you so I can see it the way I want to be. I'm releasing all those thoughts that I have about you, what you're not doing, how you fronting and that. I'm releasing all that. And I'm only going to see the Christ in you. Can we do that? Yes, it's easy to say the dungeon. I'm just saying, sometimes, boy. So also, when we talk about releasing, I tell people, I'm 50 years of age, and because I represent hip-hop culture, there's a lot of negative thoughts that come about hip-hop. When I say hip-hop, as we do in InSpirit Truth Center, when I say HIP, HOP, that's me, I'm talking about a higher infinite power healing our people. That's who we are as gods, right? Word? That's what we do, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. We are healers. And as we become aware of us being healers and we share that with other people, it begins to change those old thoughts of what they thought it was, what they thought it was going to be. I had the opportunity 2 weeks ago to teach a class down at the Interdenominational Theological, what's it called? ITC. What's it called? Interdenominational Theological Center. Okay, ITC. But what's beautiful about where we are at InSpirit Truth Center? ITC wants to be us. They want to do urban inspirational metaphysics. So whatever they want to deal with hip-hop, they're like, Minister Server, come in and talk to us again about this hip-hop thing. And I also had the opportunity to be on AIB, and it was talking about InSpirit Truth Center. I'm telling you, what we are doing here is some pioneering work. It may be hard for us to see. Sometimes people can only see things in history. Like 10 years from now, people look back and be like, yo, did you know what they were doing at InSpirit Truth Center back in 2003? But for us to recognize it now is to get the power from it now. Word? So we can release those traditional thoughts of what we thought Jesus was and how Jesus was taught and, the whole King James version. And I mean, that's a decent version, but we have the InSpirit Truth Center version of what it is. So we're going to release that old and be renewed. There's a scripture that says, be ye not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's simply about us thinking about ourselves differently. It's truly about us seeing ourselves the way God envisioned us. When God created you, he just created you to show off, just to show out, just to show how awesome he can be all the time, right inside of you. Everything that's in the universe is inside of you right now. And yet, if we stay tied to these old thoughts and, we're just terrible sinners and, we're ratchet and we're no good, and the best we can do is pray to Jesus, and maybe Jesus will hook us up when we get to heaven. I'm just saying, Jesus, my man's in them and all that, but I ain't waiting for the hookup. Jesus came to teach me that greater things that he do that I should do too. So I don't have to wait for the hookup, do I? No. I'm hooked up right now. Word. I'm just saying. So what we have to allow ourselves to do is to know that right where you are right now, this very second, you are perfect, whole, and complete right now. You don't need to add anything. You don't need to take anything away. You are perfect right now. And yet what we want to be able to do is constantly refine ourselves, constantly show ourselves as expressions of the Most High God. When you see me, you see God. You don't need to look anywhere else. When you look into that mirror, you see God. And it's not robbery to have yourself in alignment with God. So release any thought that's contrary to that. What I want everyone to do right now, I invite you to allow your eyes to close. We're going to do a quick visualization exercise. I shared part of this morning on the Daily Source of Light call. I'm going to ask everyone to allow your eyes to close, blocking out the outer distractions of the world so you may focus on the Christ within yourself. I invite you to sit comfortably and begin to relax as you breathe slowly and deeply. And each time you breathe out, let go of any worries, tensions, or concerns that you may have. Simply let go and let God. And then I want you to visualize in front of you a bright flame of light. Now the flame is not hot, but it's comfortable. It's an all-consuming flame, a fire that burns and transforms all that enters into it. You may see the flame as violet or red or orange. Or you may not see the flame at all. You may just feel the energy. What that flame represents is transmutation. Envision yourself stepping into this flame so that it envelops your entire physical body and extends a foot or two away from your physical frame to your aura field. Now that you are aflame with the fiery light, which is all around and within you, which will help you to release and eliminate and transmute anything in your thoughts, feelings, memories, and physical bodies. If there's any ailments that you're feeling right now, if there's any unease, or any tension, any worries that you have, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your employment, whether it's in your finance, whether it's in your health, whether it's in the world in general, I invite you to put it into that flame and ask yourself, what is it that I need to release right now? What is it that is no longer essential, healthy, nourishing, and life-enhancing to me? Whatever it is, simply let it go in love and light. Simply allow it to be released into the flame so it may be consumed by the fire of transmutation. Allow yourself to see those things gently burning away. And as those things are burning away, I want you to be consciously aware of your breathing in. We know breath and spirit are one and the same. So as you stay with this visualization, as you can feel yourself being cleansed and purified and refined, and you're releasing all those different things that you simply no longer need without any judgment. You're simply letting them go because they're not needed for the next phase of your mission. They serve whatever purpose they served at that time, they're simply not needed anymore. And as you allow yourself to begin to come forward in this consciousness and allow your eyes to gently open up. Gently open up. And we know whenever we eliminate something, we need to replace it with something as well. So I'm going to say an affirmation. I want to have you repeat it after me. As I continue to grow in my life, I have the power to determine who I am, who I share my time with, and the life I truly desire to live. From this moment forward, regardless of how challenging any circumstance may be, or any situation may appear to be, I stay calm and in alignment with my higher self. I reclaim power over my life. I reclaim power over my life. I reclaim power over my life. Yes. So as we have reclaimed the power and we're getting ready for the month of December and our new life, what we want to allow ourselves to do is allow InSpiritTruthCenter to be that beacon, to be that one to show that while we can release the old and be renewed, we know that there is nothing truly new under the sun. So while we take the ancient wisdom and we apply the new thought to it, so we may manifest this urban inspirational metaphysics so that we may show ourselves approved to God and ourselves. You know, I often tell people that when we do it for God, that's the ultimate thing to do, and the rest of the world just gets a chance to watch. So if you only do it for God, everybody else is watching, then what they're going to see is the higher you. And when they see the higher you, for them to even see the higher you, they have to connect to the higher God within themselves. Word? You can't see what's not in you, good, bad, or ugly. You can't see what's not in you. But we're going to release that other stuff and only see the Christ within us. So as we go forward in this week, I want us to just remember the affirmations that we share. And as I leave you in this prayer right now, again, let us gently close our eyes. In the name of the Most High God within, we give thanks for another opportunity to use our gift of renunciation. We know right now there are so many thoughts, words, and actions that are contrary to the unconditional love that we know you are and that we know we are. And we use this opportunity right now to simply release those things. And as we grow in our spiritual development, we consciously, each day, each opportunity, release those things that are not for our highest good and greatest joy. And as we move forward in this consciousness, then we allow ourselves to manifest as the gods that we were created to be. It is true. We let it be, and there it is. Word. Peace and much love, people.